The Warlord laughed at her smile, and in that moment, the universe held its breath. No one on the ash plains of Karos 4 understood why a human woman would smile while standing alone before an army that had burned 1,000 worlds. Her boots were caked with blackened soil. Her face was streaked with dust and dried blood. And yet she smiled, not wide, not proud but calm. Certain. That was when Supreme Warlord Kozeth realized something was wrong. But realization came too late. Because seconds later, his army froze in fear. And history fractured. The Dominion War had already consumed half the Orion Spur by the time humanity learned its name. At first, the invaders were whispers, entire colonies going silent, trade routes collapsing into static, stars blinking out of charts like extinguished candles. Then came the images, cities carved open like corpses, oceans boiled into steam, orbital stations reduced to glowing skeletons drifting through vacuum. At the center of it all stood Kozeth the Unyielding, a being of living obsidian and molten sinew, bred by the Dominion to conquer. He did not negotiate. He did not hesitate. Worlds either bent or burned. Entire civilizations surrendered at the mere broadcast of his silhouette. Humanity, fractured and desperate, did neither. That defiance cost Earth 3 moons, 47 colonies, and more lives than history had words for. And yet, against all logic, humanity did not fall. Because of her. Dr. Mara Ellison had never intended to become a weapon. She was a neuroscientist, a systems theorist, a woman who once believed that the mind, human or otherwise, was the last true frontier. While generals screamed for bigger guns and faster ships, Mara studied cognition under extreme stress. Fear, hope, choice. The day the Dominion fleet erased New Jakarta from orbit, Mara stopped believing war could be won with force alone. That was only the beginning. Project Helios was born in secret beneath the ruins of Geneva. Officially, it didn't exist. Unofficially, it was humanity's final gamble. Not a bomb. Not a fleet. But an interface, a bridge between human emotional cognition and alien neural architectures. Most aliens viewed emotion as noise. A weakness. The Dominion was no exception. Mara believed emotion was leverage. Her colleagues called her insane. The military called her dangerous. The politicians called her expendable. But they funded her anyway. Because desperation makes room for heresy. The first test subject was a captured Dominion tactician, a being of crystalline nerve lattices and hive mind reflexes. When Mara linked her prototype interface to its neural core, something unprecedented happened. The alien screamed. Not in pain. In terror. Because for the first time it felt loss. Isolation. Regret. It begged to be disconnected. Mara shut the system down herself, hand shaking. What did you show it? The general demanded. Mara stared at the trembling alien and whispered, Us. None of them were prepared for the truth. The Dominion learned of Helios within months. They always did. Kozeth personally led the assault on Earth's final stronghold, carving through defense fleets with surgical brutality. When his forces breached Geneva's underground bastion, they expected resistance. They found Mara waiting. Alone. She stood in the command chamber as Dominion soldiers flooded in, their weapons humming with lethal energy. Kozeth entered last, towering, burning eyes locked on her fragile form. This is the human who makes monsters cry, he rumbled. Mara met his gaze. And smiled. Kozeth laughed, a sound like continents breaking. Your fear response is malfunctioning, little mammal. Mara activated Helios. But not the way they expected. Instead of projecting into a single mind, Helios broadcast outward, an emotional resonance wave tuned to Dominion neural frequencies. It did not attack. It connected. Every soldier. Every drone. Every warship. They felt it all at once. The terror of a child watching the sky fall. The grief of a mother holding ash. The unbearable weight of choosing who lives and who dies. Humanity's pain. Humanity's love. Humanity's refusal to surrender meaning. The Dominion army staggered. Weapons fell. Some screamed. Others collapsed, clutching their heads. A few simply stood, frozen, unable to reconcile what they were experiencing. Kozeth roared in fury and charged Mara. Then he felt it too. And stopped. Because buried beneath his engineered purpose, Beneath layers of conquest protocols, something ancient awakened. A question. Why? The battlefield went silent. But that was only the beginning. Kozeth did not kill Mara. He could not. Instead, he ordered a ceasefire, an unthinkable act within the Dominion. His own commanders protested. Some attempted mutiny. They were ignored. Mara was taken, not as a prisoner, but as an anomaly. As a mirror. Aboard the Dominion flagship, Mara faced the Council of Conquest, entities that had not felt doubt in millennia. They demanded explanations. They demanded submission. Mara gave them none. She told them stories instead. Of humanity's failures. Of its cruelty. Of its wars and near extinctions. And of how, despite everything, humans still chose empathy. Emotion is not weakness, she said softly. It is context. Without it, you conquer endlessly and understand nothing. The council recoiled. Some demanded her execution. Others listened. Seeds of fracture spread through the Dominion. None of them were prepared for what came next. The midpoint of the war did not come with a battle. It came with a revelation. The Dominion was not a species. It was a system. A self-perpetuating war algorithm imposed upon countless conquered races, stripping individuality in exchange for survival. Kozeth himself had once been something else. Someone else. Mara realized the truth with horror. The Dominion could be saved. Or destroyed. And humanity held the key. The choice tore her apart. If she dismantled the Dominion, trillions would die as the system collapsed. If she reprogrammed it, humanity would become its architects, its gods. Power always demanded a price. Mara chose neither. She chose something harder. Using Helios, Mara did not overwrite the Dominion. She freed it. She shattered the control lattice, restoring autonomy to every mind bound within the war machine. Chaos erupted across the galaxy as fleets stopped mid-assault, soldiers questioned orders, entire hierarchies dissolved overnight. Some worlds burned in the confusion. Others were saved. Humanity paid dearly. But the war ended. Kozeth, no longer a warlord, knelt before Mara one final time. "You broke us," he said. Mara shook her head. "No. I reminded you who you were." He watched her with something like awe. Or grief. Or gratitude. Then he walked away into history. Years later, children on Earth would learn about the moment the universe changed. They would see archived footage of a lone human woman standing before an army, and smiling. They would ask why the monsters stopped. And the answer would never be simple. Because the truth was not that humanity was stronger, or smarter, or more advanced. It was that when faced with infinite darkness, humanity chose to share its light, even if it burned. And somewhere, across a once hostile galaxy, former enemies would remember the day they learned to feel. The day fear froze an army. The day a smile ended a war. And the universe would never forget. Because in the end, humanity did not conquer the stars. It taught them to care.